Alright, boys and girls, welcome to our very first video lesson in Chapter 4, Sections 4.1 and 4.2, our lesson on classifying triangles. Here we go! Okay, there are two ways to classify triangles, both by their angles and by their sides. If you classify a triangle by their angles, there's an acute triangle which has three acute angles, 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to go over here to the obtuse triangle. The obtuse triangle has one obtuse angle and now two up here in the right and down here in the left, two acute angles. We also have a right triangle, which has one right angle and then once again two acute angles. There's also the equiangular triangle, which means all three angles are equal. And if that's the case, you also see that you have an equilateral triangle as well. If you want to classify a triangle by their sides, there's the equilateral triangle, which has three equal sides. There's the isosceles triangle, which has two equal sides. And again, I like to define an isosceles triangle as having exactly two equal sides and a third side that's not equal. And there's also the scalene triangle, which has no sides equal. So in other words, now this side is not congruent to this side, is not congruent to the third side. Okay? Let's try to classify some triangles. We'll start with FGH first. As we read here, K is also the midpoint of FH, so this side is equal to this side. As we look now, FGH is this triangle right here, as a side of 5. This side is also 5. And this third side down here is 2.5 plus 2.5. So it is an equilateral triangle. GJL would be this triangle right here. Okay, it is a side of 8, is a side of 5. And this third side right here has a side of 5 plus 3, which is also 8. So we have two equal sides. Well, a third side that's not equal, so it is isosceles. And FHL, that's this triangle right down here. It has a side of 5, a side of 3, and a side of 7. So therefore it is scalene. Okay, you guys stop the tape here when you get the chance. Stop the tape, but try to figure out what these two, what X is in these two triangles. We know that this side in the first case is equal to this side, so this is an isosceles triangle. In this problem, all three sides are equal, so therefore you can choose any two of these sides and figure out what X is. Okay, so as you look at our answers, again we had up here we had an equilateral, an isosceles, and a scalene triangle. And down here in the first case, 2x plus 7 is equal to 3x minus 4, so x equals 11. And up here, we can choose any of these sides, just set two of them equal. X equals 5 because 5x is equal to 6x minus 5. There's two theorems we need to know from this these sections. I think you know both of them. The first one is the triangle angle sum theorem, which says that the three angles of a triangle add up to 180. So measure of angle A plus B plus C, the three angles add up to 180. And of course we already know the second theorem, the TEAT, the triangle exterior angle theorem, which says that the measure of any exterior angle, in this case angle 1, is equal to the sum of the two remote interior angles, so angles B and A. So angle 1 is equal to angle B plus A. Why don't you guys try these problems right now? Stop the tape if you need to, but find the measures of angles 1, 2, and 3. And over here, find the measure of angles 4 through 9. Okay, in the first one, let's actually start with angle 2. angle 2 is equal to 52 because these three angles right here are going to add up to 180. Once we have angle 2, we can figure out angle 1 because angle 1 is equal to measure of angle 2 plus 71. And then we can find angle 3 because once we know the measure of angle 1, which is 123, plus 28, plus the measure of angle 3 is equal to 180. Looking down here to this side, measure of angle, we probably want to start. Probably the easiest thing to do is start with measure of angle 7. You know that the measure of angle 7 is plus 58 plus 65 is equal to 180. Once we have 7, we can get 6 because those two are sup because they are linear pairs. Once we get 6, we know that 8 and 9 plus 6 add up to 180, and 8 and 9 are equal. And once we have 6, we can get 5. Once we get 5, we can also get 4. Okay, why don't we try this one right here? Let's start with measure of angle 1. Measure of angle 1 plus 29 plus 90 is equal to 180. Okay, we also know now that once we can get angle 2 because angle 2 plus 29 will add up to 180 because they are linear pairs. And once we have angle 2, we know that angle 2 plus 17 plus 3 equal 180. So you can now do some algebra and figure out the answers to these. Stop the tape. Okay, you should have found that the measure of angle 1 is equal to 61. The math I did is right here because I know that the three angles add up to 180. You should have found that the measure of angle 3 is 12, but let's skip down to angle 2 first. The measure of angle 2 is 151 because 29 plus x is equal to 180 right here. That was this right here. And now that we have angles 1 and 2, we can figure out 3 because these three angles, okay, so the 17, the 151, and x is equal to 180. There's also a few more words you need to know. Name the parts of triangles in an isosceles triangle. The equal sides are called legs. So this leg and this leg, these two legs are equal. These two sides are equal. They are called legs. The third side is called the base. The angle between the legs is called the vertex angle. And the two equal angles, which we will find out, but the two angles that go from between the leg and the base, these are called base angles. In a right triangle, you know that the two perpendicular sides are called legs, and the third side, the long side opposite the right angle, is called the hypotenuse. Two more words. An altitude, that will be the purple line, is any line drawn from a vertex perpendicular to the opposite side. So it's drawn from the vertex here down to this side right here, and it's perp. Okay, and a median in green here is drawn from a vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. Every triangle has 3 medians, so I'll do these in red right here. This would be a median, and this would also be a median. Okay, and in blue, every triangle has 3 altitudes. So if I extend that side and draw it perp, that is an altitude. And likewise, if I extend this side and draw this down perp, that is also an altitude. Alright, to review one more time, there are 2 ways that you can classify triangles: by their sides, where we get scalene, isosceles, or equilateral, or we can classify a triangle by their angles, which would be acute, right, or obtuse. And now it is time for a game. This game is called Classify This. Alright. Spend a couple minutes here, stop the tape, but see if you can classify each of these triangles. There is only one answer for each of these right now. Just one answer. go ahead and stop the tape and classify these triangles according to either their sides or their angles by the information that's given to you. Okay, here are your answers. The first one was on isosceles. We have two equal sides. The second one is a right triangle because there is a right angle. The third one is an equilateral triangle because it's 3 equal sides. If you put an acute triangle, you would not be wrong. Okay, the fourth one is scalene. It's 3 unequal sides. The fifth one is an acute triangle because all 3 angles are less than 90. And the last one is an equiangular, which means it's also it's equilateral and it is acute. Okay,